Greetings, everyone. This is Eric Stewart from Fishing Fanatics, and today I have an awesome guest, Rob Digh. And he's a lifelong outdoor fisherman, and he fishes in the Elite Series, and he actually fished in 50 tournaments and placed in the money 28 times. Now he likes to hang out and cook and camp and hang out with the family and friends. So how you doing, Rob?
I'm doing great, man.
It's great to have you on here. I was looking into your account a little bit and what you got going on and the different tournaments that you placed in. And I always think it's kind of cool to ask people how they got into fishing in the first place and then what the stepping stones were to kind of get where they were today.
Yeah. I started, at a very young age, as most people did. Some people didn't start that fish professionally till they was in their 20s. They had other sports on their mind, but started at a young age. And of course, whether it be panfish or catfishing or, whatever with my dad. And then I progressed, into bass fishing. It was always an interest because so many techniques and so many ways to catch them. I'm 50, we'll be 53 this year. And when I was coming up, we didn't have the internet. So there's a lot of suspense in bass fishing. You had to know the right people to get the right information. And, but that was always an interest to me. And I reckon that kind of made me glued to bass fishing and tournaments, just to be in the know how to catch a bass, it was always cool to be with the right people,
Absolutely. How did something just switch with you one day when you're fishing tournaments? Like, you said you grew up fishing. You probably made the transition to tournaments when you were younger, but did something just kind of click for you one day where you were like out there, you're like, you know what, I actually have a chance to do this for a living? Like, when did that moment really set in?
Yeah, the Elites was more of an adventure for me than per se a living. I mean, sure, I would have liked to have done it for a living, but it's really a hard job. And I've always worked for myself my whole life. I mean, and being an elite angler, you work for yourself, in one sense by, you're in control of catching the fish and cashing the check, but you can't just it's hard to make it fishing professionally unless you got sponsors. That's where the money's at. And some guys are doing really well with it, but you have to get out and hustle and you have to work for other companies and promote their product. And it's a big job. When the tournament's over, you have to go to work. A lot of times, like guys are working Red Crest this weekend, they might have to travel, a day or so to even get here to Red Crest. And then, you got your motels. I mean, it's a full-time job. You just have to plan your schedule out and work with all your sponsors and keep them happy, whether you catching fish or not, because you're not going to be able to catch them every year, or every tournament. So you need that extra money coming in to be a professional angler. And I wasn't really prepared to do that. But I enjoyed my time on the Elites, and I'm fishing some local stuff now, fishing some BFLs. I'm fishing the opens this year, the northern side, a couple of those, and just more relaxed type fishing and some team tournaments.
Nice. Yeah, you're doing team tournaments with your son, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. We fish some Angler's Choice. And, for a local angler, many places, the team trails they're paying out a lot of money, championships paying $25,000 and $50,000. And that's no joke, really for a regional angler. So you can make a little pocket change and, buy you a few lures with that.
Definitely. No, it's a solid chunk. I didn't know that the local tournaments or the team tournaments really
we have a lot of those here around our house locally. I know sometimes up north they don't have that many, but we have a pile of them here in the South. I mean, you can just pretty much take your pick. And in the fall of the year, I mean, we'll fish 4 or 5 weekends for 25,000 plus every weekend.
That's pretty solid. Is
So,
that
yeah.
So is that what caused you to kind of take a step back from like the solo tournament scene? Is your son getting older and you kind of wanted to get him into it too? So you're like,
Oh,
what,
he
let's just
wants
do
to
it as a team?
do it. He wants to do it, and he might try it yet, but he don't quite have the experience nationally, or I would say, he's a good fisherman here locally, and maybe North South Carolina, Virginia, but he really hadn't branched out enough on some of these other lakes to really compete. He did fish some college tournaments, East Carolina, and but he needs a little more experience, and he'll probably take a chance at it here one day once he gets a little more stable in life. He's getting married this year, and so he gets that behind him, and get everything settled. He'll probably take a shot at it.
Yeah, Rob, it's the college fishing scene. My first couple podcasts I did were with a couple college fishing guys, and I thought it was really interesting, the world of college fishing. What, in your experience having your son in college fishing scene, what did you see in that world that was a little bit different than you might have not have thought?
I think it's a great deal. I wish they'd have had it when I was wanting to go. I didn't go to college, but if they would have had fishing, I'd have been right there. But it is expensive for the parents. And I don't, the downside of college, I want to give you the downside, and then I'll give you the plus side. The downside is they don't pay a lot of money to the anglers. The upside is the guys coming out of that, they come out better anglers, and they've learned these other lakes. They've got all that experience. So when they leave there, and the competition is fierce on this college stuff, lots of boats, they have all that knowledge and all that experience, and plus the friendships they make doing it. I think it's a great opportunity for anybody that has the opportunity to do it. But the organization side of it, I think they're trumping, a lot of change on that. I would like for them to see, pay a little more back, because it is very expensive on the parents, even though some schools do fund part of it. But, you got to have a boat, you got to have a truck, all that. So,
someone's got to pay for
money.
Someone's got to pay for gas, right?
That's right. That's right.
No, that's awesome. It's good little insight there on college fishing, because it's one of those things that for me, it was never really an option because I was in baseball. You know what I mean? So
sure.
I just figured baseball, college baseball, just go through that way. I'll tell you right now, if my college had a fishing program, I'm in for it. But
sure.
I think it's cool to have the sports growing at the professional level, and so is the college level too.
Yeah, and a lot of schools, even like your school, East Carolina didn't really recognize fishing as a school sport, but at first, and then they did. But the funding wasn't there. They had to promote themselves, do fundraisers, and the parents had to kick in quite a bit of money. So it is very expensive.
Absolutely. All right. So you've been fishing for a long time, right? And through the years, I'm sure you've seen a lot of different changes, a lot of different tactics. Like, nowadays, I know Japan domestic market swim baits are big now, and forward facing sonar and all these different things. In your opinion, what's the biggest change from when you first started to now?
The forward facing sonar. It definitely. You can't find David Fritz. He's told me the best. He says, we can't find our fish with our rod and reels anymore. And that's when it finally dawned on me, that those guys were beating us to death with that forward facing sonar. Like, I had it, but, I never really depended on it till after I was out of the leaks. Now I'm like, okay, you dummy, I'm hard at it. Everybody tell you I'm very hard at it. But even my son, he said, Dad, you don't know what you're doing. So he finally helped me a lot with it. But that forward facing sonar is a big game changer. And guys, catching fish on, it wouldn't surprise me if every elite tournament was not won on it this year in some form or fashion. but it's just amazing what it does for you.
Absolutely. And, what's your personal opinion on it? Because I've heard a couple guys throw around like, it's kind of ruining the game.
It's like the Alabama rig. Personally, the Alabama rig is no longer magical as they thought it was. We throw it down here, but the fish don't bite it near as good. You got to know how to fish it. It's the same way with forward-facing sonar. You got to know what you're doing with it. Would I like to see them ban it? It wouldn't hurt my feelings if they did, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think a person needs to go out and learn all the techniques he can with it, because it's going to be here to stay. Now, if they've come out with, the new transducers way better than the last one, they keep improving it. They might at some point say, hey, you can't use that technology, where you can see if it's a bass or, a striper or a crappie or something like that. But, a lot of guys can tell that now without that. So it wouldn't surprise me if you couldn't see it as clear as me and you in another 20 years, we'll probably be looking right under the water,
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how this whole thing plays out and what gets banned and what gets allowed. And, hopefully at the end of the day, the thing that we all get out of this, though, is fishing still grows as a competitive sport and then a pastime.
Exactly.
So I think that's the biggest thing there.
But, we all need to take care of our resources too. It's important. There's a lot more fishing pressure now, and we just need to take care of them best we can.
Absolutely. So, what's your favorite place to fish? You had to pick one. I know you've been to probably multiple lakes.
Probably Santee Cooper. I just come from there this weekend and got beat bad, but that's probably my favorite lake because any cast can be, a monstrous fish. 30-pound bags are very common there. They wasn't this weekend, but it's probably my favorite. It's a lot of different stuff that you can fish there, and it's not, would say, the safest place to run around, and that kind of intrigues me a little bit too. You got to know where to run. There's a lot of stumps, and I just like it. It's big. You can fish different ways, and it's got a lot of big fish.
Gotcha. Yeah, that always makes it a little interesting when you get a big old stump.
Actually, I fished a costa there. I think it was 16. I had my biggest bag ever. I weighed 32.8 there.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah, this big bag fish for me it was.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. God damn. Well, then what's your biggest smallmouth and biggest largemouth?
The smallmouth, I had never caught one over 5.
Okay.
I never have. I'd say right at 5. Never over 5. I've caught some I thought was over 5, but you put them on the scales and then there wasn't. But my biggest largemouth I've caught been 12, 13.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that at?
Lake El Salto.
What was that fish? What was that like?
I caught him on a storm swim bait.
Nice.
Sure did.
Is that a like a soft plastic paddle tail or?
Yes.
Gotcha. Dude, that's a big bass.
Yeah,
that's no joke. Cool, man. Rob, I appreciate you doing this podcast with me, man. And I like to take out this last segment for you to kind of plug anything you want to plug, whether you got, your business going on or whether you got, your social medias where people can follow you. Just the floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm doing Instagram and Facebook, Rob Digh Outdoors. And, as far as promoting, I really don't, since I left the elite scene, I still got a few deals that I get some discounts and stuff on, but I've been dabbling in some fundraising and trying to do that on the side and doing a few other podcasts here locally. And we naturally do the podcast and we include the fundraising kind of into that to help people that are in need, other fishermen, other sportsmen. It's been the weather's been just now breaking spring. So we'll be doing that in the future. So, take a look at my Facebook or Instagram. And, if you're interested in helping on that, no, you don't have to donate anything big, but it is for fishermen or sportsmen that's in need. And, I say, if you haven't, tried out maybe a Caymas boat, you might want to try one. It's one of the best riding boats I've ever been in, and they don't pay me nothing, but I've had all of them, and it is a very good riding boat. So, of course, Mercury Marine. But other than that, man, that's about it.
I love it. What's the name of the foundation?
I don't actually have a foundation yet. I've been talking to my tax lady about that, and we're still small. We haven't reached that point yet. We're doing like 4 a year. So to do a foundation, then, it's going to change my whole tax thing. I have to do a whole nother tax paper, and I just haven't done that yet. I've been keeping everything separate. And if I do get audited, then they see where all the money goes. So, I just haven't done that yet.
I got you. No worries. I will drop all your.
I actually did get some hats made up. I don't know if you can see that. But I call it my new little logo is Hook and Cook Team, and we kind of just come up with that, and probably that's what it'll be called when we do one here in the future.
Awesome, man. Well, I'll keep an eye out for that and let the listeners know, how that's going. I'll also drop all the links to all your socials in the description for them to check out. Rob, it was great having you on here, and hopefully day down the road when you get that foundation set up, we can have you on to talk more about it.
Sure, Stuart. I appreciate it, man.
You just listened to the Fishing Fanatics podcast with your host, Eric Stewart. Feel free to check out our other podcasts and our other interviews on our channel on Spotify, YouTube, and much more. Check out our Instagram page, TikTok, and Facebook as well.